Hello, y'all. You being fun yet? I am. I'm having a blast. I got this out here. I don't know if you can read this. This is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That is the pledge. We, the people, we see that in the morning, you should be taking it. And in school, they definitely should be taking it. Every child, from kindergarten on up, should be taking the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. It was started in 1954 by President Eisenhower. And he inserted the phrase "under God" into the Pledge of Allegiance. It was added to the money later on and made it our national motto. Why? Why did they do that? Well, how did they do that? Well, back then, the both parties, that's Democrat and Republican, there was no difference. I know, hard to believe, right? There was no difference other than how to do something, but it was basically they all loved America and all wanted what was right for the American people. Oh, what a time that was. All right? Okay, but you have to look back. We had just won the World War II and Korea. World War II was ended with the dropping of the atomic bomb. Us going there first. It was a devastating, terrible thing when they dropped it. Why? Why did they do it? If they had not done that, that war would have dragged on, and millions of more people, both sides, would have died. They dropped the bomb, the game, it was over. Korea was destroyed. Korea, the North invaded the South. They invaded the Korean Peninsula all the way down to the bottom. There was a little tip left. The United States joined the war, went in there, and drove it back to the parallel. They drove them all the way out of Korea. South Korea. That was the war. Communism defeated. But about the time we had the nuclear bomb, Russia came out with a nuclear weapon. Oh, yeah. Yep. And the Red Scare was on. Because everybody's worried about Russia. That's back when I was young. And we had bombs. Hide under your desk. Yeah, right. But bomb scares, right? They all came to naught, but they were there. All right. So that's why the pledge was started. That's why we have it. And that's why it's been to court multiple times. Saying it's against the Constitution. No, it's not. The Supreme Court said, no, it is not. So we've got it. It's part of our heritage, and it should be recited by every child in school. First thing in the morning, every classroom used to have an American flag in it. That's the only flag in there, the American flag in it. You would stand, hand over your heart, and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. It instills pride in one's country. It instills something that's just hard to explain. But it's there. God has done so much for this Vietnam. Vietnam was, it's a terrible war. The difference between Korea and Vietnam, for years, France was in there. Yep, France was there first. And France couldn't do squat. They let them run all over. And so now you got the communists. They didn't invade. They snuck in all over the country. And that made it terrible because there was no front lines, nothing. Walked down the street and got shot at. Walked across a field to get shot at. You never knew where it was coming or who they were. They never wore uniforms. It was hard war. Never fought anything like it since, and never before. Did we have atheists over there? Yes, we did. Yes, we did. I had atheists on my helicopter. I would listen to them, and we're flying. Yeah, but there ain't no God. There ain't no. I don't believe in that. Just okay. Don't say nothing. Okay, we're coming into a hot LZ. Bullets flying everywhere. Smack, 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 hit the chopper. And the guy jump out as soon as he hit the ground. God, get me out of here. He's no longer an atheist. God and soldiers. So, hope you enjoy it. Get your kids at home. You can post the Ten Commandments. You can post the Pledge of Allegiance in your house. They're easy to download. The Ten Commandments. Let's talk about it. Ten Commandments were, okay, at the time they were passed down when Moses carried them down. At the time they were carried down from the mountain, there were no religions in this world that had morals. Now, there were some, but they ain't got no morals at all. And the morals didn't exist. And it was sort of like what's going on right now, or had been for the last 4 years. And God said, enough. He let that go. He let it go. He let it go. He wanted to see if man could do it. And everybody's, everybody gets fed up at the time. I think he got fed up and said, all right, here's the morals. And he passed them down. So that is the moral code. That's what it is. And that moral code stayed with us for years in school. And after you learned to read, that was fun. After you learned to read, you read everything, the walls. If you saw it on the wall, you read it. And you would read the Ten Commandments. Now, you get them words, some of them. What's that mean? Go ask the teacher. Go ask your dad. Yeah, but you had to figure it out what they said, what it meant. And that was part of the fun. Now, what happened? We had marriages lasting a life. We had this girls that got pregnant, okay? You didn't hear about them. They'd disappear and go to grandma's house or something and have a kid. You didn't hear about them, all right? And that was very, very seldom, right? So that means you went out, you got a girlfriend in high school, fine. You went out and you went roller skating, ice skating, the movies, and then later on to dinner, and you talked. And you got to know each other.